The containment facility on Europa groaned under the increasing pressure of the void storms. Commander Elena Frost watched through reinforced windows as reality itself rippled across the moon's icy surface, distorting the distant form of Jupiter in the sky. Behind her, the control room hummed with activity as technicians monitored a dozen similar facilities across the solar system. "Status report," she demanded, her cybernetic eye scanning multiple data feeds simultaneously. Dr. James Kumar, head of xenophysics, pulled up a holographic display. 3 more breaches in the last hour. We contained 2, but Site Omega-7 in the Kuiper belt. He paused, swallowing hard. It's gone dark. Elena's organic eye narrowed. After the Council revelation 2 months ago, the entities had become more active, as if sensing the expanding awareness of their existence. Humanity's burden had grown heavier, not lighter, with the sharing of their secret. Ambassador Rodriguez is taking heavy fire in the Council, Lieutenant Maya Patel reported from her communications station. The Mechanist Union is demanding access to our containment technology. The Hive consensus threatens sanctions if we don't share our research data. They still don't understand, Elena muttered. A warning klaxon blared, and red emergency lights bathed the control room in crimson. What now? Multiple dimensional fractures detected at Site Lambda. Dr. Kumar's fingers flew across his haptic interface. The quantum barriers are holding, but... His voice trailed off as new data scrolled across his screen. But what, Doctor? They're communicating. The entities across different sites, they're coordinating. Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with Europa's frozen environment. She keyed her neural link to the facility's AI. Show me. The main display filled with patterns, wave functions, quantum signatures, and dimensional distortions from a dozen containment sites. They pulsed in perfect synchronization, like a heartbeat that shouldn't exist. It gets worse, Maya added, her dark skin ashen. We're picking up similar patterns from non-human worlds. The Xylaxian colony that went dark last week. Their last transmission matches these signatures exactly. Elena's mind raced. The entities weren't just active, they were evolving, adapting to their containment. And now that the galaxy knew of their existence, they had a larger playing field. A flash of light announced the arrival of Ambassador Rodriguez via quantum teleporter. He looked haggard, his usually immaculate uniform wrinkled. The council session was a disaster. The archival mind revealed something troubling. More troubling than synchronized entity activity across known space. Elena asked dryly. Marcus ran a hand through his gray hair. The precursors? They didn't create these entities. They found them, just like we did. But they made the same mistake we're making now, they tried to study them, understand them. That's what led to their downfall. Sir, Maya interrupted, incoming transmission from Site Omega-7. The main screen flickered to life, showing only static at first. Then, slowly, shapes began to move in the noise. Faces pressed against the static like it was a membrane, mouths moving in silent screams. The faces weren't human. Those are the missing Xylaxian colonists, Marcus whispered. Dr. Kumar's instruments were going haywire. The entities aren't just communicating, they're sharing. Sharing what they've consumed. Knowledge, experiences, consciousness itself. Elena watched as more faces appeared in the static, human, alien, and things that defied description. They're learning from each other. Everything we contain, every entity we isolate, they're all connected. We haven't been containing them at all. We've been feeding them, Marcus finished. Every attempt to study them, every measurement, every observation, it all goes into their network. And now that the council knows. Another alarm blared. Maya's hands shook as she read the incoming data. Multiple containment sites reporting simultaneous anomalies. The quantum barriers, they're not failing. They're being transformed. Through the windows, Europa's ice began to crack, dark liquid that wasn't water seeping through the fissures. In the facility's depths, something stirred, something that had waited eons to be truly seen, truly known. And now that it was known, it could finally begin to know them back. Elena keyed her emergency broadcast frequency. This is Commander Frost to all containment sites. Initiate Protocol Omega. Repeat, Protocol Omega. Knowledge is breach. Understanding is infection. The price has come due. As darkness crept up Europa's surface toward the facility, Elena realized humanity's greatest mistake hadn't been finding these entities. It had been thinking they could contain something that existed in the spaces between thoughts, in the shadow of understanding itself. The price of knowledge was about to be paid in full. Breaking point. The emergency session of the Galactic Council took place in darkness. The Grand Crystalline Chamber's usual stellar illumination had been deemed too risky, any form of observation might draw their attention now. Ambassador Marcus Rodriguez's voice carried across the shadowed room, tight with exhaustion. The entities have breached containment at 37 sites across known space. We've lost contact with 3 colony worlds, 2 research stations, and... He paused, steadying himself. And Earth's moon. The assembled alien representatives stirred uneasily. The Mechanist Union's primary node pulsed with agitation. Your containment protocols have failed spectacularly, human. The infection spreads exponentially with each passing hour. Through her neural link, Commander Elena Frost watched the feed from the Luna Command Center. The moon's surface crawled with geometric impossibilities, its craters now home to things that hurt the mind to perceive. Every telescope and observation satellite pointed away from Earth's satellite, they had learned that lesson the hard way. We're implementing Protocol Omega, Elena announced, her cybernetic eye glowing softly in the darkness. All information about the entities is being purged from our networks. We're going dark. Madness. The Xylaxian representative's bioluminescence flared. You cannot expect us to simply forget. That's exactly what we expect, Dr. James Kumar interrupted, stepping forward from the shadows. His research team had paid a terrible price for their pursuit of knowledge. These entities don't just feed on awareness, they're building something. Every mind that knows of them becomes part of their network. Every observation strengthens their grip on our reality. The archival mind's crystalline form dimmed to near invisibility. The precursor's records, we must destroy them all. A violent tremor shook the council chamber. Above them, through the transparent ceiling, stars began to wink out one by one. Lieutenant Maya Patel's voice crackled through the emergency channel, Commander, we're detecting massive dimensional distortions. The Void Dancer, it's not alone anymore. They're all merging, forming some kind of collective intelligence. Marcus gripped the podium. This is no longer about containment. This is about survival. Every piece of data we've gathered, every analysis we've made, it's all been assembled by them. Like a virus using our own immune response to become stronger. The chamber's emergency lights flickered as another tremor hit. Through gaps in the ceiling's shutters, they could see it now, a vast darkness moving between the stars, geometric patterns that shouldn't exist writing themselves across the void of space. They're not just entities anymore, Elena realized, her organic eye widening. They're becoming a new universe. One built from the knowledge we gave them, structured by our attempts to understand them. And it's consuming ours. The hive consensus buzzed in panic. What can we do? We make ourselves unknown, Marcus said firmly. We blind ourselves to their existence. We become invisible to their perception. Humanity has prepared for this. Protocol Omega isn't just about destroying information. It's about unmaking knowledge itself. Dr. Kumar activated a device that hummed with quantum frequencies. We've developed a way to induce targeted cognitive blocks. Not just erasing memories, but removing the very capability to perceive or comprehend these entities. We have to make ourselves blind to preserve our light. Another shock wave rippled through reality. Through the gaps in the shutters, they could see the geometric patterns growing, spreading like cracks in the foundation of spacetime. The assembled representatives watched in horror as entire star systems began to dim, swallowed by something that existed in the spaces between thoughts. "We don't have much time," Elena urged. "Every moment we spend discussing this gives them more power. More knowledge to use against us." Marcus faced the council, his expression grim. "You have a choice. Accept the cognitive block and survive in ignorance, or maintain your knowledge and become part of their new reality. But choose quickly, the breaking point is here." The archival mind's voice resonated with ancient wisdom. "To save the light, we must embrace darkness. To preserve knowledge, we must unknown the unknowable." One by one, the representatives nodded. As Dr. Kumar's device powered up, Elena watched through her cybernetic eye as the vast geometric patterns in space grew closer. Soon, she too would forget what she was seeing. Forget what humanity had been containing all these years. Forget the price of knowing too much. The breaking point had come. And with it, the realization that sometimes the only way to win was to forget there was ever a game at all. As the quantum frequencies began to pulse, Elena had one last thought before knowledge began to unmake itself: some shadows are cast not by what we can see, but by what we must choose to unsee. And in that willing blindness might lie humanity's last hope for survival. Ambassador Marcus Rodriguez stood before the Galactic Council's curved obsidian desk, his weathered face betraying none of the anxiety churning in his gut. The chamber's crystalline walls caught starlight from the system's twin suns, casting prismatic shadows across the assembled representatives of 23 spacefaring civilizations. "Distinguished members of the Council," he began, his voice steady despite the weight of what he was about to reveal. "We've called this emergency session to address the recent disappearances in the Omega sector." The Xylaxian representative, Ambassador Tlari, raised all four of her bioluminescent appendages in protest. "The human delegation has blocked our investigation teams 3 times now. 3 times. We demand an explanation." Marcus exchanged glances with Commander Elena Frost, who stood at parade rest beside him. Her cybernetic eye whirred almost imperceptibly as it adjusted to the chamber's shifting light. They had known this day would come, but that didn't make it any easier. "The explanation you seek involves matters that humanity has been containing for the past century." Elena stepped forward, her military bearing a sharp contrast to Marcus's diplomatic poise. "What we're about to share comes with a warning and a burden." The chamber's air grew thick with tension as Elena activated a holographic display. The image showed a research vessel, the GSV Prometheus, drifting dead in space. Its hull was intact, but something was wrong. The metal seemed to bend in ways that violated the laws of physics. 3 months ago, the Prometheus disappeared while investigating gravitational anomalies, Elena continued. "When we found her, all 342 crew members were gone. Not dead, gone. As if they never existed. Except for this." The next image caused several council members to recoil. It showed the ship's observation deck, where thousands of handprints marked the walls and windows, handprints that seemed to be reaching through the solid materials, frozen in a moment of desperate escape. "Humanity's first encounter with these entities was during our early expansion period," Marcus explained. "We found ruins of ancient civilizations, but they weren't simply abandoned. They were wrong. Sites where reality itself had been damaged." The archival mind, the oldest member of the council, leaned forward. Its crystalline form pulsed with deep purple light. "You speak of the precursor's work. We had thought their influence purged from this galaxy eons ago." "Not purged," Elena corrected. "Contained. Humanity has been maintaining quarantine zones around these sites for generations. The Omega sector disappearances occurred because something escaped." Marcus brought up another display, showing a map of human space. Red dots illuminated across it, dozens of them. Each of these points represents a containment site. We call them dark zones. Places where we hold back things that should not exist in our universe. The council chamber erupted in overlapping voices of outrage and fear. The hive consensus buzzed with agitation, their collective mind struggling to process the implications. The Mechanist Union's representatives began rapid calculations, their mechanical forms clicking with increased activity. Why keep this secret? Tlari demanded. The Council has a right to know about threats of this magnitude. Because knowledge itself is dangerous, Elena replied grimly. These entities feed on awareness. The more a civilization knows about them, the more they can perceive that civilization. We've lost entire colonies learning that lesson. Marcus raised his hands for silence. We're telling you now because we no longer have a choice. The entity that escaped the Omega sector, we call it the Void Dancer, it's not like the others. It's hunting actively, purposefully. And it's learning. Elena's cybernetic eye flashed as she brought up the final image, a security recording from the edge of human space. The final veil. In the depths of Europa's last functioning containment facility, Commander Elena Frost prepared for humanity's final act of defiance. The quantum device hummed before her, its crystalline core pulsing with possibilities, each one a different shade of forgetting. Memory suppression field at maximum capacity, Dr. Kumar reported, his voice steady despite the geometric horrors visible through the reinforced windows. The dark patterns had consumed half the Jupiter system now, reality folding into impossible shapes wherever their influence spread. Ambassador Marcus Rodriguez stood at the facility's primary communication array, broadcasting to all remaining human and alien outposts. This is humanity's final transmission. Protocol Omega is no longer a choice, it's our only chance for survival. Lieutenant Maya Patel monitored the incoming signals. 70% of remaining colonies confirm ready status. The Mechanist Union has adapted the quantum frequencies for their consciousness cores. The hive consensus. She paused, swallowing hard. They've gone silent. Through her cybernetic eye, Elena watched the last feeds from their observation posts. The entities had evolved beyond their initial forms, beyond even the Void Dancer's terrible purpose. They had become something else, a cancer in reality itself, built from the accumulated knowledge of every mind that had ever tried to understand them. The archival mind was right, Marcus said softly. The precursors didn't fall because they failed to contain these things. They fell because they succeeded too well. Every measurement, every observation, every attempt to understand, it all became part of their evolution. Dr. Kumar's instruments registered another dimensional shift. The cognitive blocks are ready. Once activated, they'll rewrite neural pathways across all participating species. We won't just forget the entities exist, we'll become incapable of perceiving them at all. And that's supposed to save us? Maya asked, her voice trembling. Willing blindness. It's not blindness, Elena corrected. It's transcendence. These entities exist in a space between knowledge and understanding. By choosing to unknow them, we're not just hiding, we're removing ourselves from their paradigm entirely. The facility shuddered as another reality wave hit. Through the windows, Jupiter's great red spot began to twist into shapes that shouldn't exist, its storms becoming windows into dimensions that had no right to touch their universe. Marcus touched his neural link one last time. To all surviving outposts, commence final countdown. May whatever gods exist forgive us for what we must unknow. Dr. Kumar initiated the quantum sequence. The device's crystal core began to pulse faster, each beat sending waves of unknowledge rippling through space-time. Elena felt it begin, memories starting to fray at the edges, understanding becoming uncertainty becoming blessed ignorance. Wait, Maya called out suddenly. Something's happening to the entities. Through her cybernetic eye, Elena saw it too. As the waves of forgetting spread, the geometric patterns in space began to flicker, like a reflection in troubled waters. The entities, built from the knowledge they had stolen, were starting to lose their grip on reality. Of course, Marcus whispered, understanding dawning in his last moments of knowing. They built themselves from our understanding. Without that, they have no foundation, Dr. Kumar finished. No framework to exist within. We're not just saving ourselves, we're unmaking them entirely. The quantum waves reached a crescendo. Elena watched through her rapidly failing cybernetic eye as the dark patterns between the stars began to dissolve, reality snapping back like elastic returning to its natural shape. The entities, creatures of pure knowledge and observation, couldn't maintain their existence in a universe that could no longer perceive them. In the final moments before the cognitive blocks took full effect, Elena saw the truth. Humanity's greatest burden hadn't been containing these horrors, it had been thinking they needed to be contained at all. Their true prison had been knowledge itself, and only by breaking those chains could the universe be free. The quantum device pulsed one last time, and understanding fled like shadows before the dawn. Elena felt her memories of the entities slip away, felt her ability to comprehend them dissolve into blessed ignorance. Her cybernetic eye went dark, its observational capabilities surrendered to save them all. In the end, humanity's greatest victory came not from fighting the darkness, but from choosing to forget it had ever existed. The shadows that lurked beneath reality faded not because they were defeated, but because they could no longer be known. And in the years that followed, when people looked up at the stars, they saw only light and possibility. The dark spaces between held no horrors, no impossible geometries, no ancient threats, not because these things were gone, but because humanity had finally learned that some things were better left unknown. The price of survival had been knowledge itself. But in that willing ignorance, in that chosen blindness, humanity had found its greatest strength, the ability to unknow the unknowable, and in doing so, remain free to forge its own destiny among the stars.